Thank you so much for staying with 95.1 Nigeria Info. And this is where I say welcome to Hard Facts here on your passionate, trustworthy, and conversation radio. And you know, on Hard Facts get intense because we instead of looking at big stories driving conversation in Nigeria, they can be local, no international. Yesterday, the crux of our conversation was happening in Israel, Gaza, with the war on there raging on from the 7th of October. Where an attack happened on Israel. So we've seen retaliation and counter-retaliation going on at both sides. Lots of lives and damages to a monument level. And we've seen the visit of the U.S. president. We've seen the Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak, also visit, and conversations they are having as to how peace and normalcy can be restored to the region. Keeping our fingers crossed and hope that all intervention will lead to something a bit more concrete. We'll focus on a lot of the big here in Nigeria today, and I would be glad if you join the conversation from start to finish, as there's so much to talk about today. My name is Kimberly. Watchku call me Kim, the Oracle, to Oracle OTF, the fellow Madam Sika, or Chanya, one of Nigeria Info, and I'll be your host. I'll be your host from now 7 p.m. I've got with Mr. Bode Gbadebo, analyst, and he'll be our analyst on the Roundtable today. Mr. Bode, good afternoon to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, a very warm afternoon, Kim. The rest of Abuja, good afternoon.
Thank you so much. I mean, there's just much going on around the world, particularly all eyes on Gaza, Israel at the moment, and just trying to understand how normalcy can return to that particular region. And, you know, it's always a reminder when things like this happen to just be, as much as you empathize and you pray for them, it reminds us also ensure that we part of peace. Like,
exactly.
Find diplomacy to negotiate certain things.
Do the right thing.
Because war comes with so devastation, so much horror, and they guarantee that you even get the results, the kind of outcome that you want at the end of the day.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
So for us in Nigeria, I hope that we'll continue to do that part, have series of resolving issues with tons of issues ourselves within Nigeria.
Exactly.
And devastation would never be the way about.
Exactly. So we need to learn from the mistakes of others and actually avoid this part.
Indeed. Now, the Minister of Interior is trending, Bode Omitunji Ojo. He said over 4,000 are currently in custodial centers of country and unable to pay about 100 million naira in fines, not individually, but cumulatively. Tunji made a revelation during a program this morning and said he had put some private organizations to raise the money, and assured that in the next 4 weeks this will be cleared and the image will be released. That immediately I set up a committee to view the situation at our correctional center. We discovered that over 4,000 inmates, also due to their inability to pay fines, which is about 500 million naira, gone far with private organizations to move together. And I'm sure within the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks, all will be resolved. And that is one way to do the congestion of the custodial staff. Is not the sole responsibility of the ministry, however, but they're reading about the number of people there and them, basic, just pay this fine and
minor things,
yes, offenses that it will tell you that you pay a fine. Some people, even if as low as 50,000, keep them there for a very long time. And it'd be nice to see. 4,000 is a significant number to get out of
at this present time. Exactly. And it also shows the kind of relationship we keep with our people. If you're 50,000 naira fine in prison for a long time, they begin to query what kind of a free connection do you have?
It is the poverty capital of the world, but there are people who are so poor. 50 is a lot of money to them.
You're right. And I think there is this government agency, Legal Aid Council, to do a lot about this. And I also for sure that there are private NGOs who are also, in this kind of thing, go offset these minor and, allow people to go back and reunite with their families. But in this case, now, I don't know whether government is actually concerned about these people. Government is actually concerned about the revenue, the fine that will be coming to government coffers. I don't know which they're actually concerned about. Is it about the people or about the money? You understand?
Apparently both. Because he's saying we're going to raise this money. So it is absolutely important that the money.
No, that's revenue for government too.
Well,
and it's to Joe's revenue profile that are doing this time to rake in so amount of money. So passport alone is not about other things alone. Even fines and charges like that are also part of it from him. Because when you go to the National Assembly to defend his budget, they will also ask him if you are to spend naira for 2023 year, how much naira are we expecting to enter coffers from the Interior Ministry? So these are them.
Indeed. All right then.
No, you don't pray that more people will come to prison so that they more money.
But it's important. It's also money to take care of prisoners.
Exactly.
You get money to take prisoners for. Well, even though it's not like one prison in one of the Scandinavian country or Europe where they have some luxury. I have reports of how much one time they said 800 naira per feeding or 1,000 per feeding, and then they think with them. But
let's not go there.
But at the end of the money is still sent out.
Exactly.
A significant number. Half of it goes into what it is assigned for friend conversation altogether. But it is a lot of money to take care of prisoners. So if prisons are busting out of the seams with prisoners, it's still money. Taxpayers' money.
Jokes are beyond the Naira and Kobo narrative. I think we should be able to ask ourselves some salient questions, and the minister to be able to have a kind of such ministry-wise that see, is the Nigerian correctional system doing the right thing? Are we actually reforming these people? Are we reforming the society? Is the money, voted for reformation? Is it worth it? Or are producing more hardened criminals? So these are the salient questions.
Indeed. Well, that's why the name was changed from prisons to correct service, so as to.
Are we getting the results? Would they, or do they have a timeline that year 2050? By the year 2060, we hope that Nigerian correctional centers we have no one prisoner.
I don't know any country in the world that the target of that nature.
Well, there was a country, I think, online who closed down prisons because there was nobody to be there.
True.
And that test of that country shows zero rate of crime, shows a lot of things. So can't we aspire to be like them?
Well, we can.
But today, there are even budgets to build more prisons. They want to build prison because of what? Our existing prisons are congested. And we are looking to decongest them. So is it that leave some people to go home, don't care whether they have been reformed or not, or we build prison to accommodate more? So what kind of society do we want for ourselves? Well, so beyond the money, we should also interrogate benefits. Cost benefits, getting benefits from the money we are spending.
Indeed, we get benefit. And still on the incarceration story, former secretary to the government of Federation, Babachir Lawal, they knocked the administration of President Bode Tinubu over continued detention. The immediate past chairman of the EFCC, Rashid Bawa, and the SY governor, Central Bank. We'll take this detail after the break.
I'll let that question slide because I haven't had it in a while. Then.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigerian for Hard Facts Show. Love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here in Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
All right, we're still on the roundtable looking at some of Jory's dry conversation with our guest, Mr. Bode Gbadebo. And we started off bantering on the situation in Gaza and situation generally, and shift gear into the prison situation where the Minister of Interior is looking at talking with some people to help pay off the fines on about 4,000 prisoners, which will amount to 500 million naira, so that one gets into the coffers too with decongest prisons, and also wondering how we look at the future where we'd have less in prison. It does tell a lot about us anyway, but we're not the only crew in this group anyway.
Exactly.
And then we also touched on Bachir Lawa, who came out of nowhere, sharing a lot of his opinion on stuff, and one of those people who is not calling President Bola Ahmed Tinubu any slack. And this time around, over continued detention, immediate past chairman of the EFCC, the CBN, the Bawa, this EFCC boss who didn't come from the rank of the Nigerian police, was taken into custody by DSS on the 14th. Hours after the president suspended him. CBN, on the other hand, was apprehended on the 9th of June and have been in detention, and is continued to raise questions of group calling on the DSS to take them to court over time. Now, Sheriff Babachio on Wednesday said people right to demand a Nigeria that guarantees freedom of speech and human rights for all. If Tinubu fought about on the side of democracy and free speech, becoming unacceptable that. In short, so much he had talk about NBC, had about EFCC chairman arrest for extended period before trial, CBN, former CBN governor, and also held. He even had opinion as to how the election was conducted, and he declared in his opinion who he felt won. And it's quite interesting seeing the way also was, booted out over the grass cutting scandal some time back as the SGN inquired. No issue was eventually, and
he was eventually cleared by the court. He was exonerated by the court.
He was?
Yes. He was arraigned by the FCC, and he won. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Just like he won the
it's
case.
True.
Yes.
I recall now. So, yeah, he's in the clear, and apparently he has the right to share his opinion on it.
Course.
But, at one point you start to think, I'm sure he was invited. We'll get your thoughts on this. But he's been here for some days because of some of his strong opinion. And if you look at it, one aspect of it is how he hold people in spite of courts. Orders saying, let this person go, grant this person, bring this person forward. We haven't quite been able to address that aspect, Jot.
Yeah, because there is this debate not to always observe the rule of law. The rule of law is very simple. The rule of law is doing things according to the dictates and letters and even the spirit of law. Very simple, irrespective of whose ox is God. But because of our affinity, political inclination, biases, other mundane things, so we always want to circumvent process. And the moment that happens, of course, you have deviated from rule of law. So very, very simple thing. So I don't know why he's doing this for now, but not strange things. These are things that have been happening.
But it is an important
Yes, whenever
question.
we are ready to make intentional deviation from abnormality, we correct it. Of course, why do you hold people without the public what they have done and just them incommunicado? Seeing the immediate person of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, in court, just because some person, I think his family and some, went to the court to make sure that mental rights were respected. Yeah. That's why EFCC, DSS was forced to arraign him in court. First Lagos, then they moved to Abuja. You understand? And for some now, about 2 months or so, nothing about him.
Yeah.
Until a few weeks ago, when there was a statement from Asu that, see, this guy has resigned, and consequently on that, the president has nominated Mr. Cardoso as a new central bank. Yeah. And the trend has continued. We just witnessed what happened with the EFCC chairman. Nobody is saying anything. Bawa is somewhere. I think according to him, he's in DSS detention too. What they might have done in a constitutional basis like ours, bring it to the public. In fact, you need public sympathy.
No, but Mr. Bode, the fact that we started talking about how congested prison, and we know that we have tons of people, even in spite of the reefs that have been made, the criminal justice system, and all of that, we still have people who are waiting trial.
In fact,
and have Bawa and MFL is enough to even gain any traction, people to even sympathize with them.
Okay. Do you know that the number of awaiting trial inmates is even more than number of convicts who are serving prison term. That's another abnormality. Now, at the end of the day, somebody will be awaiting trial for case in detention. And eventually, he will be convicted for his crime. And he is expected, according to law, to have 2-year prison. While he was awaiting trial, he had for 10 years.
That's very sad.
How do you do restitution? How do you restore justice? That is why the society is facing what it's in. Because of lack of justice, no punishment for wrongdoing, no restitution. So there is resentment towards the system by the people because they are very, very convinced that they cannot get justice. So I think the onus is on the government. Whenever the government is ready to for abnormality, then we can join, we can put a stop to unconstitutionalism, then start to do things to it.
All right, we need to do things the right way. It's spelled out in our constitution. We'll get to see if by any chance, get to see if Bawa's case will be brought back, happens next with them. Agu was in the eye of the storm for a while, but he's chilling somewhere now. I remember to Dasuki Gate, it felt like, boy, that man is going straight to the gallows, Sameto and the likes of them, but they're walking free. So it feels like this caliber of people, they always have in the sun eventually. Now, the election, I was talking with a friend some days back, and how is nobody even talking about the second elections coming up? I say, who says? People are talking about
that's not, the media has been reporting the forthcoming election in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa. CEOs are doing, CSOs are doing. INEC itself has been up and doing about its preparedness and the rest upcoming election.
And you know, these states are interesting because they come about this year and they've always had some bit of notoriety. Kogi State has been known for violence.
Election violence.
Other states, in short, I think that's one of those states that had the toga under the former chairman of INEC for inconclusive because of pockets of violence. Also, that it. Imo State is also going through a situation where even during the registration for permanent voters card, we saw how officials were attacked, people were attacked.
Exactly.
So there's a lot to concern ourselves with on that front in terms of managing violence in that place. And also building the confident people to the nature of the election. I know, don't use all of the petitions I've gone to court to rate our election. They are speaking at defense saying we did the best we could. Yes, we challenged with the IREV uploading the press election, but that a lot of these cases at the court is not on us. It's perhaps
political gladiators.
Exactly. But before we get into this, do they even have a case on that? Because the number of people who challenge the outcome of an election tells you either we're dealing with politics outly or people truly do not have faith in the system.
Yeah, probably 50-50. You understand? INEC cannot totally exonerate itself from a challenge. And for today, when they issued that statement, I think INEC was actually responding to a list in a Nigerian newspaper this morning.
Okay.
If you're some page, I think, of the Guardian newspaper. Okay. So INEC felt offended, I believe. So they issued that lengthy reboot to say, hey, you can't be, because you can't rate us based on number of election litigation. But then, they also a germane issue about 2 days ago during a workshop, I think, for journalists covering INEC activities somewhere in Akwanga in Nasarawa State, when INEC expressed about the litigious nature of Nigerian election since 1999. And the note has been on the steady rise. More people are disagreeing with an outcome declared by INEC. And now the court is now the deciding ground. INEC, which is not to be. So, and they say, see, these not political gladiators are not playing by the rule. Primary elections are held, in
haphazardly,
You understand? And people are going to court to say, please, the rightful candidates, not Mr. A, Mr. B, and the rest of them. And on election day, culture of impunity and the win it all culture that people want to snatch ballot box, the rest of them. This is my opinion. INEC must realize that it is not just an election conductor. INEC, as an agency of government, is a regulator. A regulator in this context means INEC must regulate election conduct. INEC must regulate conduct of politicians. It must regulate conduct of political parties.
Is that within the mandate to conduct?
Yes, the king. Sure.
Okay.
Check the constitution. Check the function. Check the Electoral Act.
Well, why they
INEC
always
is a
have to be
regulator.
there to supervise, even though not in the primary.
Thank you very much. So it's a regulator. Like you want to talk about NCC as a regulatory in the telecom sector. In the political space is a regulator.
Maybe I need to reframe my question to look at how much power does INEC to regulate when it comes to internal party structure, democracy, and all of that.
Enormous.
Because that's the offshoot of what you get at
Exactly.
the end
Enormous
of the day.
power. In the sense that INEC must stand on its toe to ensure that two parties respect their own constitution and respect Nigeria's constitution and other, country legislations like the elect. Make sure that if Party A is against the rule, let the world know that Party A, whether it is in power or not, is against the rule and are the penalties.
Well, to a certain degree, we've seen INEC, even plus the ruling party, opposition party, ever had to say your primary was so shabbily conducted,
The problem
done right, and so
inconsistency on the party. Acting right in the morning, acting aloof in the afternoon, and acting cold in the night. Inconsistency on same situation in different locations. INEC standing up to ensure things somewhere, INEC keeping quiet to the wrong thing somewhere, watching. Then people rush to the court. The court also not helping the matter. Court of jurisdictions giving conflicting judgment on same matter, same issue. Same. So political arena will now be thrown about.
indeed.
Confusion. Case.
And also, it wants to attention to the number of cases that actually gone back to court this time around. I recall in 2015, people, observers, noticed the number was not that significant, and they attributed it to how the election was conducted. That they had a credibility to it, or perhaps because the then government felt just call and concede and douse it. It gave it some sense of, all right, only the ones who were absolutely bent on ensuring that their case to them.
There can be
But
action.
But after that, we saw it eased again. So he also tells something about these things are connected. I'm sure scientific explanation for it as to how you conduct the election, how the parties conduct themselves, and more cases that go to court.
Exactly. So INEC has a lot to do as a regulator to late.
Indeed.
In line with the laws.
Independent National Electoral Commission says it's inappropriate to solely access the credibility of the 2023 by the number of petitions filed in a statement and signed by Sam Olumekun. National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voting Committee, INEC, said its attention has been drawn to the report titled INEC Credibility as 94% contested post awaits tribunal. The Commission said the report suggests the election petition draws from action or inaction of INEC. The Commission said many litigants in Nigeria unfortunately filed election petition over the most improbable cases and later withdraw or they are dismissed by the tribunal. And said of the 1,190 petitions filed, 700 are dismissed and 179 drawn. He said this means the tribunal no merit in 809, which is about 74.4%, and affirmed the result of the election conducted by INEC. It said analyzed the total number of petitions as if they were filed against the outcome of the election in 94% of this select position without considering detail of cases. And they are saying, so if the court say you have no case here, dismiss or drawn at the end of the day, it would be fair to lump it at 90%, because 94%, boy, oh boy, it would definitely make the umpire look at as if it was so poorly done. They do have a point in putting argument forward, and I get your point, but they also as regulators, and you need to be one step ahead of these people, even down to the political part structure. But if INEC has that capacity to do that, another conversation altogether.
If the capacity
it's one thing for them to provide what your role is, another capacity. Remember, some time back we were talking about unbundle INEC, OIS regulation, say we'll provide this one, compartmentalize it in such a way that it will be efficient. I'm sure they have that structure, the umbrella body of INEC, but they can be for all of this.
And
it's something else.
The salient matter you just raised. If the capacity to do the right backing on the part of INEC, then we begin to interrogate the meaning of independence in the nomenclature of INEC. So is INEC truly independent in nomenclature, or is truly independent as an institute and as envisioned or as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic? So whatever answer we should tell us how to proceed in forward, because very soon another election cycle, this 3-off cycle, another generation in whoever succeeding.
Well, it was obvious.
anything politically in any state. It was actually anger horns, members of his kitchen cabinet who always, want to do with the name of the president that can't be there now, your party will lose. We have to do it. They have at points towards the 2023 election. At a point, they have to be issuing statements to reassure the public that President Muhammadu Buhari was actually in support of the party's presidential mandate. The then Ashola Ahmed Tinubu, because already saying, this man, there was an advantage in that. Politically, there was a mind of them that what politician is this? He doesn't care whether his party or lose. But for the electoral system, there was an advantage of impartiality of a sitting president. But then, on the totality, if you look at it, what is the aggregate outcome? Almost zero with the kind of number of litigation we have before the courts. Because even when Buhari as a person was interested in bequeathing a credible electoral system,
the political parties,
his aides and other stakeholders, majority, more than Buhari as an individual, were not into it. So see where we are. So that's why it has to be intentional. There must be consult by all concerned to decide to choose to do the right thing.
Wow. Do the right thing. I hope we get it right. With the off-cycle elections come up at this moment, and groups are coming together and concerned over the violence in the 3 states that will be holding these in governorship election on the 11th of November. Speaking at a press conference, we had organized some of the governorship elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and it are threatened by violence. On the need to avert such a scenario, group solemnly resolutely committed to being a catalyst of change and remain passive witness to the recurrence of electoral violence that haunt the state, and added that the unwavering dedication to forging a peaceful and democratic society compel them to confront these issues. And if you follow this state, from Kogi State, a number of groups who have held press conferences are concerned about the level of violence that is even alleged to have been going on in the state ahead of the election. Imo State has its own peculiarity.
Exactly, the insecurity.
Altogether, dealing with that. Bayelsa State is a very small state, but it can get pretty intense. Pretty intense in Bayelsa State. So the comment on this front is the violence and how to impact on the election. Now, saying that we're with a limited number of states, it'd be interesting to see how we manage. Is it more troops, more police? You're shaking your head.
Yeah, it's not about it's not about the number of security people. It's about the determination of the security people to do the right thing too. Okay. So I need a buy-in security agencies as stakeholders. Like I said earlier, that INEC is a regulator, and you raised something. I said silence matter, the capacity of INEC. So INEC alone cannot do it. So INEC need a buy-in of security agencies. Please assist us to do the right thing.
But they do this joint collaboration.
Security, whatever, for election. But at the end of the day, everyone will be on their own for one pecuniary or the other. The police know how to reach out to them, and they will be laughing. That when you see a commissioner saying, I don't take that from somebody, I need to call out, something has happened. For God's sake, why? I ask you, please come to my house and help ensure security. And you are taking side. In whose interest? So INEC, even as a regulator, cannot ensure credible electoral system. It also needs the buy-in of stakeholders. And that other stakeholder, in this regard, is the security agencies. Majorly, the lead agency is internal security, the Nigerian police. The IG, to rein in its people. You know, IG will be now.
Yeah.
A divisional police officer is a lot of demand or somewhere without the knowledge of Abuja. Okay, there's a story trending this morning. I think the Lagos State Commissioner of Police removed a divisional police commissioner in police division in Lagos for dereliction of duty. He allows people under about 4 or 5 of them start a phone seller, the sum of 200,000 naira. And that police is losing that exalt position that some people dream for years to reach because of 200K that now cannot buy two full tank of petrol. I tell you that the Commissioner of Police in Lagos, Olonwa, Awowa is not playing about
business.
transparency, about public good conduct in the force. We need people like them to actually bring a culture of sanity in the system.
Into the system, yeah.
So when you don't do things like this, you don't send signal. Be offenders. So the police, as a lead agent in international security, must also begin to punish its officers who get their hands soiled during a contest. After every election, to tell us, they should give a report that after the Kogi governorship election, this is our experience. And in the course of doing our job, we discovered that officer XYZ were competent in something, or they attempt to get this electoral, and this is the punishment for them. Not INEC saying it. Do you even know the law empower INEC to prosecute electoral offenders? INEC have been so overwhelmed in the election cases in court and other things that INEC has totally forgot doing that. Where is the issue of Huduari, the suspected INEC resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State? His case has been in court. It cannot be carried away. That because it has a lot already.
A lot to plate, yeah. Well, and with the pressure coming out, even where political parties are pointing, for example, PDP is saying, read yourself in the off-cycle election. It starts the impression as if INEC is to be blamed totally. When we know politicians, political parties are complicit in the election. They are the ones fan all of the charges we have, and then the small
Do
gap.
INEC give bribe?
Good question.
Unfortunately, INEC officials might be receivers. These are the issues. Intertwined. That's why we need the buy-in of all stakeholders. The citizens, the groups, the political gladiators, the institutions, everyone.
But what will the success or whatever nature of the conduct of this off-election say about institution, really? Because often we always look at, Kogi is coming. When we have Ekiti and your eyes are on this election, how it is conducted, to determine how the general election is going. Half the time, they don't play the same way. So looking at just a few of this state time to more 20-something at a given time, which it's never always same.
Yeah, because there are more attempts on the off-cycle than the general election.
More attention in what sense?
You have your attention less guided on three states compared to 28 or 29 at the same time. Then you can pull your workforce. You can pull enough to tackle three states come to the
general general
elections.
Let's go on a very quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
This is Nigeria Info.